Dementia Ambassador with Carmel Gagan, founder of Dementia Ireland. They travelled the world. And I think it's interesting, as dementia is often excluded from initial legislation in different countries, that we hear about the need for personal autonomy, which is the core of your campaigning. Helen, thank you.
I'll sit down if that's all right for all of you. Thank you, and thank you for addressing the Assisted Decision-Making Capacity Act, because now I don't want to talk about it. But I was the poster person that you saw on your TV screens in trying to ensure that the voice of dementia was very much heard of that. So I just want to say to you, for those of you that have not heard me from SLIGO, 14 years ago, next month, I was diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's. I was in Galway and I was driving home by myself, wondering how I was going to tell Sean, my husband, and Martin, my son, that in an undisclosed amount of time I may not remember them, or remember all the memories we backed along the way. There was no guidance, there was no roadmap. It was go home, see the solicitor, make your will. I had training in the house, so it was a very difficult period because I only had the doom and gloom that many of you may know what dementia is about. And I went home, and for 10 months I had no idea what I was supposed to do. So the consultant did his job very finely. He suggested I try various medications, which I did, and Sean used to say she cried for the first one, she slept for the second one, and the third one she had hallucinations. So by the time I got to number 4, which is there are only 4, that would stop progression. So for me, it was, I had always been involved in human rights, and something kicked in. It was time to start looking at my rights. Where were they? And I was lucky that Trinity College Dublin at that time was looking for people like me to do research with the Alzheimer's Society of Ireland, and I took part in that research and was cognitive rehabilitative therapy. I have been working all my life. I was a very active citizen in the West of Ireland, trying to save it as chair of the Western Development Commission. One of the very few women in Ireland that was the chair of a state board. So I was very proud of myself, and then it all came crashing down. So I then said, well, you know, I must have some rights. It must be something that I can have, and that's something to help me. And when I got that chance to relive again, because that's what I would say it was, about getting my diary back, writing everything down. Carmel would tell you in the house is little with notes, turn off the light, you know, what's in every cupboard. And so it was really in a way where my journey into life began, where I began to see the injustices for people with dementia. So from that on, I started to, after that, I very shortly got involved with the University in Galway and in research. They had a call out for really at the beginning of the Assisted Decision-Making Capacity Act, and I got involved in that. We fell through the Alzheimer's Society that was just up my road. So I got involved, and I just realised it was a group of people all around the world who were doing research. And that's where we found out that the same things were wrong in every other country are here. So it was quite simple that we needed to do something. And I cannot tell you the hours and the untold hours of trying to get to where we are 2 years ago. You know, we signed up to the UN Convention on the Rights of People, and then we made sure that in Ireland, as we do, that we left off the optional protocol, so that meant that I couldn't take a case. I want to live in my own home for as long as I can. So that is, you know, one of the things that was not there. So as the new government were just recently, our recent government, they just changed that to include it. So it's been a long journey, I can tell you, when it comes to our rights. As I said, I want to live at home for as long as I can, surrounded by people that I love, and surrounded by my dog Lexi. You'll hear about him. So, and for me, palliative care and support are vital, and their comfort and dignity and choice matter most. So for me, for this assisted dying, it's about choice. It's about choice, and for me to be able to. Sorry, I have to have notes because I don't remember. Okay, so it's not about for me to tell anybody what to do or how to live their life or how to die, but it's about respecting each of us, that we all have a right and it's our personal choice. And what's right for one person may not be right for the next. And that's in the world that I live in, which is the dementia world. That's what we talk about. You know, it's about what may be right for one may not be right for another. And palliative care, as I said, gives, you know, I went through this with my husband. He died too in lockdown, and he had palliative care, which is, you know, pumps and keeping him alive, and it gave him comfort, and I suppose there was meaning and dignity, certainly meaning and dignity in that, and the team under unbelievable circumstances. Christmas coming up 5 years, it was just a difficult time. It was a difficult time for my son, it was a difficult time for myself and my family. But even with the discussions of assisted dying, you know, we cannot lose sight of that either, that some people have that choice. And I have to say that as a person with dementia, because it's, you know, if that's what somebody wants, that is their choice, but there should be another choice. So even, you know, all the discussions we have, and we have many, I've been very involved in throughout the world, and in particular in Alzheimer's Europe, on this subject, you know, of having the choice of how we live and how we die. And I talk about that a lot. You know, I should have that choice of how I want to live and how I want to die. And based on our own values and beliefs. And it's about giving people freedom. It's about freedom to decide, not taking our choices away from us. And we need to approach this in conversations with empathy and not judgment. And that's one of the things I think about this. It's so important that we talk about the way of empathy and not judge people. And this is a deeply personal decision, and compassion must be there at the forefront of it, or at the centre of it, because when you're diagnosed with Alzheimer's, there is no cure for you. There is no medicine for you. Today, there's maybe a little. So time is of the essence for me. Okay, so we talk about we make our decisions, and we have now, luckily enough, we have the decision support service to help us make our decisions, and that is really great for our families, and it was great for my son to know when I came home and had to make that decision about getting the power of attorney. I'll tell you the story about the power of attorney. The power of attorney was really difficult because I had to ask my son, who was just finished in law school, to be my power of attorney, and we're trying to figure out how we were going to do it. So luckily enough, our local solicitor was very kind, and he said to Martin, why don't you call down after Mass on Sunday, and I'll help you. And it was hugely emotional for us, because that is not the way I wanted my only child to think, that he had no idea how long I was going to live or how long I was going to be able to make my own decisions. So those decisions are hard to make, but I promote every day that we make those decisions, that we have our power of attorney, that we have our affairs in order, and how we want to live and how we want to die. As I said, for me it's about staying in my own home, and that is another thing. In this country, we've a statutory right to go into a nursing home. So if I fall over when I go out of here and into the hospital, they can ship me back to a nursing home. They can't ship me back to my own home. And so that's my new home, and that's really terrible for everybody, because for all of us that want to live in our own homes, right until we die, we should be able to stay in our own homes. So, as I said, it's deeply personal. And whether someone chooses to live with support until the end, or to have the choice to die as they wish, we all deserve dignity, respect and peace. And ultimately, this is what rights and choice and humanity is about. So I think for me, it's just important that I remember all of those things, and that I just say to you, one last thing that I want to say that's really important for people with like myself that have memory impairment. choice must always be safeguarding, and especially for people living with cognitive conditions like dementia, it's vital that no one is pressured, we are confused or that they're coerced. Decisions like these should be only made when the person fully understands and when the protections are strong enough to prevent mistakes or abuse. So the most vulnerable must be protected, and that is not negotiable. And I cannot reiterate that enough, because what happens in Ireland is, and around the world, is that many people are diagnosed too late, and that is sometimes a choice of their own, because they don't want to know. When you have a memory, oh God, I'm not going to the doctor, I'm not going to talk about it. So it's important that we remember that, and that it is too late. And I can only speak for people with dementia, my colleagues who we've shared these conversations with. We can't even ignore the emotional side of it either, because these are deeply personal decisions, and the touch on love and fear and dignity and faith. And we mustn't forget that faith is important to many, many people. So we need to, as I said, to keep compassion at the centre and to not judge. So it is again about staying where I am, about being there, because the end is about respecting my humanity and the right to how I want to live, and the right to where I want to live, and the right to die with dignity. So it is about compassion and rights and choice. And on that I will just finish, because I could be repeating myself, as you do when you have Alzheimer's. So I just think it's, for us, for people with dementia, the one thing I want to say, it is really, really important to safeguard us. It's really important, and that the person that's making their choices makes their choice when they have full cognition.